Today, we're diving into a crypto token with a name that sounds like it was pulled straight from an ancient Roman epic, not a digital exchange. We're talking about UNUS SED LEO. It's the native token for the Bitfinex ecosystem, and believe it or not, its entire story is hiding right there in its name.
Yep, that's right. UNS SED LEO is Latin for one, but a lion. Now, this isn't just some cool-sounding phrase they picked out of a hat. It's really a mission statement that gets to the very heart of what this token is all about, being a single, incredibly powerful force inside its own environment.
So that begs the question, right? What in the world does a Latin proverb have to do with a crypto token? And how does this ancient idea define a totally modern digital asset? Okay, let's unpack the story of the Bitfinex lion.
To really get a handle on Leo, we've got to go back to the beginning and look at its core purpose. Why was this lion even created in the first place?
So, at its most basic level, UNS SED LEO, or just LEO for short, is what's called a utility token for the Bitfinex crypto exchange. You can think of it as the lifeblood of the entire platform, designed from the ground up to add value and liquidity for everyone using it.
Let's rewind a bit to May 2019. That's when Leo was launched by Bitfinex, which is the parent company of Bitfinex. And the goal here was really strategic. They wanted to create one powerful token that could centralize all the activity, make the user community stronger, and give some real, tangible benefits to traders on the platform. But what does it actually do? This lion isn't just for show. It's the real engine that powers the entire Bitfinex platform. And when I say deeply integrated, I really mean it. Leo isn't some kind of optional add-on. It's literally woven into the fabric of the exchange's day-to-day operations, and that creates a whole set of powerful incentives for its users.
It all comes down to this really clever, self-reinforcing loop. First, and this is probably the most important for traders, just holding Leo gets you some pretty significant discounts on your trading fees. Second, they have internal programs that reward you just for holding onto it. And third, on the business side of things, Bitfinex actually uses Leo to fund its own strategic projects.
And a utility doesn't stop there. The token is also used inside of Bitfinex's derivatives products, it's integrated into their lending services, and it's even accepted as a form of payment by some of Bitfinex's partners. See the pattern? It's all about keeping value and activity locked inside their own ecosystem.
Okay, so we know what it does, but the real power, the secret sauce of any crypto asset often comes down to its economics, or tokenomics. And Leo has this very specific mechanism that's designed to make it more scarce over time.
It all started with this one big number, 1 billion. That was the maximum initial supply of Leo tokens when it first hit the scene. But here's the thing, the plan was never to stay at 1 billion. So how do you shrink that massive supply? Well, it's this pretty slick two-step process. First, Bitfinex takes a portion of its revenue and uses it to buy LEO tokens back from the open market. Then, and this is the really crucial part, they permanently destroy those tokens. It's a process called a token burn, and it means those tokens are gone from circulation forever. And you can really see the effect here. You start with that initial billion tokens, and over time, thanks to the burn, the circulating supply gets smaller and smaller. Now, the goal of this is classic supply and demand, right? Make the remaining tokens more scarce. But it's also a huge signal to investors that Bitfinex is committed to reinvesting in its own ecosystem.
But of course, Leo doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's up against some fierce competition. And its unique structure comes with a very specific set of risks you need to know about. When you put Leo side by side with other big exchange tokens, like Binance's BNB or what FTX had with FTT, you see a totally different game plan. While those other guys were chasing broad external adoption, Bitfinex decided to focus Leo's power inward. It was a really deliberate choice to build a more resilient, tightly integrated fortress rather than a sprawling empire.
Now, this laser focus on its own platform, well, it's both Leo's greatest strength and its biggest weakness. It's a real double-edged sword. So, what's the catch with tying your fate so closely to just one exchange?
The risks are pretty straightforward. Leo's value is almost entirely dependent on the health and reputation of Bitfinex. So, any drop in trading volume on the exchange, any regulatory trouble for its parent company, Bitfinex, or even just pressure from bigger competitors could directly hit the token's value hard. All right, so what does the future hold? Where does the lion go from here? Let's look ahead at what's on the roadmap for LEO and the Bitfinex ecosystem as we head towards 2026. Can this lion actually learn to hunt outside of its home turf?
Well, the strategy's all about one word: expansion. The team behind LEO knows that for the token to really thrive in the long term, it has to find new use cases and become more than just a discount coupon for Bitfinex traders.
Looking towards 2026, the big goals on the roadmap include integrations with decentralized finance, what we call DeFi platforms, and also connecting with other external financial services. The ultimate goal here is to give LEO more utility outside of its native exchange. But of course, that path still depends heavily on the growth and stability of Bitfinex itself.
And that brings us full circle, right back to our central question. UNUS SED LEO was built to be one but a lion, a single, powerful force for the Bitfinex ecosystem. The question is its fate tied too closely to that one platform, or can this lion eventually find the strength to truly stand on its own? That, right there, is the key question for its future. Thanks for joining this explainer.